First of all, a little bit of history on the house which is now known as the Lodge Outback Motel in Broken Hill, New South Wales, Australia. The lodge was formerly a large residence built sometime in the 1800s. The exact year is not clear. It was purchased by a doctor, William Kerr McGilvray. It is a large Victorian building, and due to its size and architectural significance, it dominated the streets of the town of Broken Hill, and it was well known that only those with money and prestige could own a property such as this. There was also a cottage built on the grounds, and this is where the doctor eventually resided. He moved into the property in 1901 and passed away in the cottage in 1933. The property remained in the family for many years, and eventually other doctors in town also resided there. It was sold and then made into a small motel, which has since grown into a larger one to accommodate the many travellers to this area. Broken Hill is actually situated in Australia's outback, and there are no other towns close by. It's pretty remote. Broken Hill is well known for being a mining town and has some fascinating history attached to it. Now, this is just one of the many stories that we've been told has happened at the lodge, and this one actually occurred to my daughter and myself. My daughter is a motel manager, and she was offered the position of managing the Lodge Outback Motel, and she resides in the cottage where the well-known and much-loved Dr. McGilvray lived and died. I took a trip with my daughter to visit her new employment, and I too stayed in the cottage. I met the housekeepers, who told me of some really strange, unexplained and ghostly occurrences they have witnessed since working at the lodge. I also experienced some very eerie happenings of my own, which is the reason for this story. The motel and cottage rooms are kept furnished, as they would have been back when it was built. Dr. McGilvray's wife died at a young age, and some say that it is her who still roams the rooms of the lodge, not only at night, but during the day as well. It seems the good doctor has also decided to stay on at the cottage. My first experience happened a few nights after we first arrived. Up until then, my daughter and I had both heard knocking sounds coming from the walls and ceiling, distinctive knocking sounds. Neither of us felt any fear, and we both said, half-heartedly, that the doctor must be making his presence known. There are often sounds of things falling and dropping on the floor, but after checking, we saw nothing was disturbed. Or so we thought. Although the buildings were very old, there had been renovations carried out, and all wiring and plumbing, etc., had to be up to code, as it was a business for guests to stay in. All the doors closed and locked properly, as do all the windows. The maintenance was kept up very well. My daughter sleeps in the middle bedroom, and as I always wake up in the wee small hours, my daughter always has her bedroom door closed so she isn't disturbed when I get up to make coffee. As I had to pass her bedroom from mine to get to the kitchen, I always looked to make sure that her door was closed and latched fully. One night I had walked past her room 3 times to go to the kitchen to make coffee. Each time her door was firmly closed. On the 4th trip to the kitchen, still seeing that her door was closed, Some short time later, I was startled when my daughter suddenly stood behind me in the kitchen and asked why I had gone into her room, sat on her bed, and woken her up. I looked at her stunned. I told her that I absolutely did not go into her room and wake her up. It's not something I would ever do, and she knows this. She told me that she felt someone sitting on her bed and gently nudging her to get up. When she saw that I was in the middle of making coffee, and knowing that I would never go in and wake her up in the middle of the night for no reason, we both looked at each other wide-eyed and realised that someone had woken her up, but it wasn't me. When she had come out of her room, she had left her door open, but when we walked back to go to our room, her door was fully shut once again. There was no wind. It was a very warm, still night. We decided to stay up a bit longer until we had settled down a bit, but strangely enough, we were not terrified, not afraid. We actually were quite calm. We were just more inquisitive. It was then that we heard the distinct knock, knock, knock. On the ceiling. Then the kitchen light went out. Then all of a sudden, the lounge room ceiling fan turned on, then off, then on again. We just sat there not knowing what to do. But still, we didn't have the fear in us to run. And I don't understand this myself, because normally something like that would scare me, really scare me. We decided to sit on the couch and watch a bit of TV until we felt more comfortable going to our rooms. We did eventually go back to sleep, and nothing more occurred that night, thankfully. The next morning I went into the lodge motel with my daughter, and we told a couple of the housekeepers what had happened the night before. They were not shocked. They started to tell me of the things that had happened to them while they have been working there. Although they have never seen Dr. McGilvray, it was always the woman, the lady, who always makes her presence known. Some believe it is the ghost of the doctor's wife, but others believe it is someone else entirely. There are many, many stories I've been told in my short stay, and I'd love to get around to telling them, but this will take more than one video to do this. But there is one story that I really want to add to this video, which was told to us by a housekeeper, which happened to a gentleman guest not too long ago. I started making this video a couple of weeks ago, and I had all intentions of putting the second story in, which is narrated by Archie. But because this particular story has gone longer than I thought, Archie's story will go into the next upload. Also, while working on this video today, quite a few, let's say, unworldly or otherworldly things have happened while I've been trying to make this video. And I will be making another story on what actually happened while I was trying to put this video together. So I do apologise for not being able to also add in the second story in this video. But what I am about to tell you in our future uploads about the lodge is really worth waiting to hear. These are experiences I have gone through firsthand. So I think there will probably be quite a few episodes of The Lodge.